What if the habit keeping you poor at work is something you do 10 times a day without noticing? Most of us were handed two stories: work harder or wanting more is greedy. And somewhere between those two, we got lost. The Buddha had a completely different take on work and wealth, and brain researchers are now seeing the same thing. You don't need to quit your job or move to a monastery. You just need to see the trap clearly. You show up early, stay late, and hit every deadline inside 10 minutes. And still, something feels stuck. It's deeper than tired, stuck in every direction, financially, energetically, creatively. Like you're pedaling harder and the ground refuses to move. A lot of people in this position blame themselves. They think they're not working hard enough or smart enough, or that the market is rigged against them. But more often, there's an invisible habit running the show. It's called scarcity mindset, and it's not a personality type. It's a daily practice you've picked up from the culture around you, the same way you pick up the language everyone speaks in the office. You hoard information because sharing it feels like losing your edge. You compete for visibility instead of building trust. And you say yes to everything out of fear that one no will cost you your spot. Promotions look like a pie with only so many slices. And here's the trap. None of this looks crazy from the inside because it looks exactly like taking action. Like protecting your career, like doing what everyone around you is doing without questioning it. In most corporate cultures, scarcity isn't a flaw at all. It's the water you swim in, the background noise you stopped hearing years ago. But that noise has a cost. It does more than make you tired. You're becoming poor in trajectory, in clarity, in peace. The very thing you're grinding to protect is slowly eroding underneath you, piece by piece. And you can't feel it because the erosion happens so gradually that it feels normal. You probably learned this habit from people who were genuinely trying to help you. Your first manager said you have to outshine the room. Some mentor told you visibility is everything, and the voice in your head still whispers that if you stop gripping, you'll fall behind. None of them were wrong on purpose. They were just passing on what they learned. But now you're old enough to notice that the strategy isn't working, and you're smart enough to wonder what comes next. So here's what almost everyone misses. This isn't a mindset problem. It's a brain problem. And once you see what scarcity does to your actual wiring, you'll never watch yourself panic about a deadline the same way again. When your mind perceives lack of time, lack of security, lack of recognition, it narrows. Hard, it drops into short-term survival mode, and this isn't a choice you're making. It's a biological response. Princeton psychologist Eldar Shafir and economist Senthil Mullainathan spent years studying this. They found that when people feel deprived of resources, their cognitive bandwidth measurably shrinks, not a little. By a lot, you literally have less brain power available for the big picture. A 2019 study in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found something even deeper. Scarcity alters the neural processing underlying decisions. Your brain rewires under pressure. That's literal. This isn't an attitude problem. It's a brain state. And in the workplace, it shows up in ways that look completely rational. You're panicking about the quarterly review, so you can't think strategically about next year. You take the safe, visible project instead of the messy, high-growth one because the safe one protects you right now. The conversation that could change your career gets avoided because the immediate risk feels too large. And you stay in the job that's slowly killing you because leaving feels like free fall. The numbers back this up. In 2025, job burnout hit 2 out of 3 professionals. Some other reports put it even higher. And a huge chunk of that burnout traces back to financial strain, the feeling of not having enough. Even when the paycheck says otherwise, Deloitte's leadership research puts it plainly. When people lack the tools and resources to operate effectively, they fall prey to the scarcity mindset. And performance drops. Therefore, the very people companies need thinking strategically are the ones whose brains have narrowed. Survival mode. Here's the paradox that should stop you cold. The harder you grip, the less you can see. The more you fear loss, the more your brain locks on to immediate survival. And the more it locks on to survival, the more you guarantee the very stagnation you're afraid of. Scarcity makes you miserable and myopic. And a myopic professional can't spot opportunity, can't build trust, can't lead with clarity. They can only defend. And defending is a losing strategy in a world that rewards creation. So what does the other path look like? People often think Buddhism is against work, or against money, or against ambition. It's not. The Buddha was against something much more specific. He was against clinging. Not wanting, not working, not earning. Clinging, the desperate grip on outcomes, on status, on the next rung of the ladder. The belief that your worth is written by your title, your salary, or your performance review. The tightness in your chest when you check your account and the number isn't what you hoped. Here's what non-attachment actually means. And people usually get this wrong. It doesn't mean you stop caring about your work or your income. And it isn't about becoming indifferent or apathetic. It means you stop letting the outcome decide how you feel about yourself. That's a small shift with enormous consequences. In Buddhism, there's a teaching called Right Livelihood. It's the 5th step of the Eightfold Path, and it means earning a living in ways that align with compassion and integrity, supporting peace rather than causing harm. But here's what modern teachers emphasize. Right livelihood isn't about having some perfect, noble job. It's about how you show up in the job you already have. It's about the meeting where you tell the truth when lying would be easier. The boundary you hold even when holding it costs you something. The help you offer a colleague without calculating whether it hurts your relative standing. And then there's abundance. In pop culture, abundance gets twisted into magical thinking. Believe hard enough, and the money will come. That's not what the Buddha taught. And if you've ever rolled your eyes at that kind of thinking, you're not alone. The Buddha would have rolled his eyes too. Buddhist abundance is about releasing the mental clinging that creates the felt experience of lack. It's about noticing that the hunger for more is often a reaction to fear, not a response to genuine need. You can want more and still be a good person. That tension you feel between ambition and integrity, that's not a flaw. That's a sign you're paying attention. People often ask me, doesn't Buddhism say ambition is bad? No. Buddhism says craving that creates suffering is the problem. You can pursue the promotion, you can build the business, you can grow your income. But when the outcome owns your peace of mind, you've crossed the line from healthy motivation into clinging. And clinging is what makes you suffer. The middle path isn't a compromise between grinding and giving up. It's a completely different way of seeing. You're not toning yourself down. You're cleaning the lens you look through. This is where it usually gets hard. And it's worth slowing down here. Right livelihood sounds beautiful in theory, but what does it actually look like on a Tuesday at 9 a.m.? It looks like the meeting where you tell the truth, when lying would be easier. Maybe the numbers are soft, and everyone wants to pretend they're solid. Maybe the timeline is impossible and you know it. Speaking up costs you something in the moment. Silence costs you something deeper. It erodes the part of you that knows the difference. It looks like the project you decline because it doesn't align with your values, even though saying no feels dangerous, even though your inner voice screams that opportunity only knocks once. The truth is, opportunity knocks constantly, but you can't hear it when you're trapped in a room that doesn't fit you. And you can't leave the room if you're too scared to say this one isn't mine. And here's where it gets interesting. It looks like the colleague you help without calculating whether it hurts your relative standing. Scarcity says, if they win, you lose. Right livelihood says we can both do well, and my integrity is non-negotiable. When you help someone from that place, something shifts. They feel it, you feel it, and over time that becomes your reputation. Not the sharpest elbows, but the clearest heart. The person people want in the room when things get hard. It looks like pursuing the promotion with full effort, real preparation, genuine investment, but without attaching your self-worth to whether you get it. You do the work, you show up fully and make the case with confidence. And if it goes to someone else, you grieve for a day and then you keep going, because your value as a person was never up for vote. The outcome was always external. Your effort was always yours. And it looks like the email you don't send at 11 p.m. Your rest is part of your work. Tomorrow's clarity depends on tonight's boundary. And right livelihood includes how you treat yourself, and not only how you treat the people above you. None of this is grand, it's daily, it's small, and that's the point. The Buddha didn't ask you to be a hero, he asked you to pay attention, one choice at a time. So here's the practice, and I want you to hear this clearly because I'm not giving you 10 steps. I'm giving you 1. Before any high-stakes work moment, a meeting, a negotiation, a difficult conversation, a big decision, pause. Just pause and ask yourself one question. Am I acting from fear of lack or from clarity of purpose? That's it. No mantra, no app, no 40-minute morning routine. One question. Why does this work? Because scarcity lives in speed. It lives in the reflex. The automatic yes, the defensive no, the tight grip on whatever you think protects you. When you pause and ask that question, you create a gap, a tiny gap between stimulus and response. And in that gap, you reclaim the cognitive bandwidth that scarcity stole from you. Imagine doing this for 1 week, not perfectly, just consistently. You start choosing the projects that actually grow you instead of the ones that merely protect you. You stop burning energy on office politics because you realize most of it is just fear dressed up as strategy. You sleep better. People notice, not because you're performing differently, but because you're present differently. The shift isn't dramatic. It's quiet, but quiet shifts are the ones that last. The scarcity mindset isn't your fault, but now that you see it, it's your move. Try that. 1 question for 1 week. Notice what shifts. And subscribe. We go deeper every